Hello friends. Today we will be dealing with English in Indhulekha from Haritham 1995 by Susie Tharu. Susie Tharu is an Indian writer, publisher, professor, editor and a women's activist. She was a senior professor in Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad. Currently, she is an eminent professor in Department of Cultural Studies. In 1978, she helped to found Stree Shakti Sangeda, an organization whose main focus on women's empowerment. She was a founder member of Anveshi Research Center for Women's Studies, Hyderabad. She edited the well-known anthology Women's Writing in India in 2 volumes as well as No Alphabet in Sight and Steel Nips Are Sprouting. Both her teachings and researches focus on feminism, issues of minority, and visual arts, and she published 6 books on these topics. She was awarded Uganda Government Merit Scholarship and Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. The essay English in Indulekha is originally a paper presented at a seminar in School of Letters, Mahatma Gandhi University in May 1994. Sequently, it was published in the journal Haritham, issue number 6 in 1995. The essay is about the problems of a novel translation and history with special reference to Indulekha written by O. Chandumenon. Indulekha was first translated by John Willowly Franz Dumark, a friend of O. Chandumenon, who worked as a translator to Madras government. Susie Tharu begins the essay commenting about the scope of prefaces in general. The 1889 preface is an exposure of personal explanation for writing the novel and about the reception of the book. First English translation, in its preface, assesses the merit of the book as a literature and a resource for colonial ethnography, linguistics, and administration. It is acting as a reading of cultural history of Kerala. Susie Tharu goes on to comment on the story of the writing of the story Indulekha. Chandumenon's Indulekha passed through 5 stages in its origin as a well-made narrative. The author is distracted from everyone because of his reading of English fiction. Chandumenon attempts pithy plot summaries when they demand to share his pleasure of reading, but it does not evoke interest. His wife insists him to translate whatever he reads. Chandumenon accidentally began to translate Henrietta Temple, written by Benjamin Disraeli. Thus, the personal wish culminates in the historical demand for afterlife for English fiction in a Naya society that is searching out a modernity. And then Indulekha had written within 2 or 3 months. When Chandumenon attempts a full scale translation of Henrietta Temple, he realizes that the difference between the culture depicted in the novel and the target culture makes it difficult to translate the actual word on the page. In other words, the strangeness of the source text is to be domesticated for familiarity in the target language. In chapter 18 of Indulekha, there is an after dinner discussion about English education and atheism among 3 Nayo men. One character, Govindan Kuti Menon, translates a book by Charles Bartlow for support of his argument, prefacing it with that social context. But when it is translated into Malayalam, the context is different. It is an after dinner argument among 3 Nayo men regarding modernization of their traditional beliefs. The translation is interspersed with the discussion. Susie Tharu analyzes the theories of translations by Benjamin, Niranjan, and Derrida. Benjamin's theory of translation states that translation as a mode is unclear if we take translation as mere transmission or reproduction of meaning. According to Benjamin's theory of translation, in the original text, content and the language closely fit like a fruit to the skin. But in translation, the language being inadequate, forced, and foreign drapes it like a royal robe in many folds. Translation should never be mere repetition. It represents the afterlife of the work as it goes through the process called niche brief, gaining a new life. According to Derrida, transmission of meaning is impossible. It is an exchange in the currency of signification. The translation contract is an alliance between two different languages with the promise to produce a child whose seed will give rise to history and growth. According to Benjamin, the historians create a constellation of the past and the present, where the past is influenced with its revolutionary potential. Similarly, Tejaswini Niranjan finds the translator setting up a constellation between the original and the translation. Translation aims at pure language but can never attain it. So, translation becomes an act of history. Susie Tharu analyzes Dumerg's view on Indulekha and the issues that he faced during its translation. Dumerg praises Indulekha for its realism, authenticity of prose, and picture of modern Malabar in the present language. He considers meaning is transparent and transferable, especially with the author's help. For example, the Sanskrit stanza in Malayalam text were translated in consultation with Chandumenon. He made literal translation as possible for the occasional idioms that would be unintelligible or discordant in English. Certain passages relating to social and family systems peculiar to Malabar are explained away in notes. Thus, things are naturalized for all cultures and historical periods. Whenever there is difference between the English of the translation and the Malayalam of the original, Dumerg has neither the courage nor the wish to tamper with the order of his language. This makes it a successful and readable translation. This transparent translation makes the reader at home in another history and culture. Susie Tharu arrives at the conclusion that present day translations should make the way for literary or cultural history set in the scene of representation or scanned as a resistance. With Chandumenon's Indulekha and its translation into English by Dumerg as a focal point, Susitaru is analyzing theories of translation and its relationship with history.